Maya wiped her hands on her apron, the scent of burnt toast lingering in the kitchen air. Upstairs, the shower was running, a steady hum masking the pounding of her heart. On the table before her, a letter trembled in her hands. Termination from Wallace and Company. It read. Theft. Disgrace. Adrian had not resigned, as he had claimed so easily over dinner just nights ago. He had lied, smiling all the while. A sick, cold dread crept through Maya's veins. If he could lie about this, what else was buried beneath the surface of their life together? She looked towards the stairs, the sound of rushing water giving her a slim window of escape. Quickly, she shoved the letter back into his jacket, grabbed her bag, and stuffed her phone and wallet inside. Her fingers barely worked, clumsy with fear. Step by careful step, Maya edged towards the door. The old wooden floor creaked underfoot, and she froze, heart thundering. No sound came from above. She exhaled and pressed on. Her hand reached the doorknob, cool against her sweaty palm. She turned it gently, easing the door open. A gust of autumn air hit her, sharp and bracing. She hesitated only a second before slipping outside, the door clicking shut behind her. Her feet struck the pavement, each step carrying her away from the house she no longer trusted. Silver Lake streets were misty and empty, a ghost town under the pale morning light. Maya moved fast, head down, fighting the tremble in her legs. Only one place felt safe now. Clara's house. She would explain later. Somehow. Right now, survival came first. Clara's house stood at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, a white cottage surrounded by towering oak trees. Maya pounded on the door, her knuckles aching. It flew open within seconds. Maya? What on earth? Clara's face shifted from confusion to concern the moment she saw her sister's pale, shaking form. Without hesitation, she pulled Maya inside and shut the door. Maya collapsed onto the sofa, the strength leaving her body now that she was safe, at least for a moment. Clara crouched down in front of her. "Tell me everything," she urged. The words tumbled out of Maya, broken and fast. The lies, the letter, the theft, the fear that clawed at her with every breath. Clara's expression hardened with every word. "He's dangerous," Clara said firmly. "You're not going back there. Not ever." Maya nodded weakly, tears pooling in her eyes. She hated the way her body trembled, how small she felt. The shrill buzz of her phone cut through the heavy silence. Maya jumped. Clara grabbed the phone off the table and glanced at the screen. Adrian. Again. Dozens of missed calls and messages, all piling up like debris after a storm. Clara switched the phone off without a word. "You're staying here," she said. "We'll figure this out." For a moment, Maya almost believed her. The cozy living room, the warm glow of the fireplace, Clara's fierce presence, it all wrapped around her like a shield. But a gnawing feeling remained, deep in her gut. Adrian would not give up so easily. And somehow she knew. This was only the beginning. The next morning broke gray and damp. Rain streaked down the windows as Maya sat curled up on Clara's sofa, a heavy blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She had barely slept. Every creak, every whisper of wind had set her nerves alight. Clara entered the room with 2 steaming mugs of tea. "You need to know everything," Maya said, her voice hoarse from a sleepless night. "Everything about Adrian. I cannot believe I never saw it before." Clara set the mugs down and sat beside her. "There's more, isn't there?" she asked quietly. Maya nodded. "I want to understand what I'm up against." She unlocked her phone, scrolling past Adrian's endless, frantic messages until she found the number for Wallace and Company. She pressed call. After a few rings, a man's voice answered. "Richard Wallace speaking." "Mr. Wallace," Maya began, struggling to keep her voice steady. "I'm Maya, Adrian's wife. I need to know why he was let go." A long pause. Then Richard's voice softened. "I suppose you deserve the truth. Adrian was caught stealing company funds. But it wasn't for himself. He was paying off debts. For his half-brother. A man named Vincent." Maya blinked, stunned. Adrian had never once mentioned a brother. "Vincent," Richard continued grimly, "is dangerous. Known to the police. We warned Adrian, but he refused to cut ties." Maya's hand trembled as she ended the call. Clara watched her closely. "What did he say?" Adrian has a half-brother, Maya whispered. And he's the reason for all this. For a moment, they sat in silence, the rain drumming steadily against the windows. Then, as if summoned by the very mention of his name, there was a knock at the door. A sharp, urgent knock. Maya and Clara exchanged a look. Fear tightened in Maya's chest. She already knew, deep down, that it would not be Adrian standing outside. It would be Vincent. Clara hesitated only a moment before moving to the window, carefully pulling back the curtain just enough to see. Her face paled. She turned back to Maya with a grim nod. "It's him," she whispered. Maya's heart slammed painfully against her ribs. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but there was nowhere to go. Another knock, louder this time. Impatient. Clara squared her shoulders and marched to the door, Maya trailing behind her. Together, they opened it just a crack, the chain still latched. Standing on the doorstep, soaked in rain, was Vincent. He was taller than Adrian, leaner, with sharp, restless eyes that flicked from Clara to Maya in an instant. A predatory smile tugged at his lips. "You must be Maya," he said smoothly. His voice was calm, almost friendly, but there was a weight behind it that made Maya's skin crawl. "What do you want?" Clara snapped, her body blocking the door. Vincent chuckled softly. "I only want a little chat. Nothing more." Maya didn't move. Her instincts screamed that no good could come from talking to this man. But Vincent, sensing her hesitation, leaned closer. "Adrian is in trouble," he said in a low, urgent tone. "Big trouble. You can help him. If you want to." Clara shook her head. "We're calling the police." "You could," Vincent said unfazed. "But it won't change what's coming. It's simple, really. Come back to Adrian. Pretend everything is normal. Smile for the neighbors. Stay quiet. Do that and no one gets hurt." Maya's blood turned to ice. "And if I don't?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vincent's smile widened, but it never reached his eyes. "Then you'll see how much worse things can get." Without waiting for an answer, he turned and walked away, his boots splashing through puddles, leaving only silence and the echo of a threat hanging in the air. Maya sagged against the door, her knees weak. "We have to do something," she whispered. "Before it's too late." The hours dragged by in tense silence. Every sound outside sent Maya flinching. She stayed close to Clara, feeling like the walls were closing in. Adrian's calls kept coming, vibrating the phone across the table until Clara finally snatched it up and turned it off. "You can't face this alone," Clara said firmly. "We need help. Real help." But Maya shook her head. "If we involve anyone else, they'll get dragged into this. Vincent isn't bluffing." Clara pressed her lips together, her mind racing. "Then we outsmart him. We think like him. Dangerous, yes, but not unstoppable." Night fell. The storm outside deepened, thunder rumbling like a warning. It was just after midnight when Maya's phone buzzed once more. A different number this time. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Maya." It was Adrian. His voice was raw, desperate. "You have to listen to me," he said quickly. "Vincent's not just angry. He's planning something. He wants to use you. Force you to launder money through fake accounts. That's why he needs you back." Maya's blood ran cold. "I can't stop him," Adrian sobbed. "I tried. He's too dangerous. I should have told you everything before. I'm so sorry." Before Maya could respond, another voice cut in, Vincent's. "Enough crying, brother," he sneered. "Give her the choice." There was a rustle, and then Vincent spoke directly into the phone. "You have until tomorrow night," he said calmly. "Meet me, or Adrian pays the price." The line went dead. Maya stared at the dark screen, her hands shaking. "We have no choice," she whispered. "If we don't act, Adrian, he won't survive this." Clara grabbed her shoulder. "Then we fight back. But on our terms. Not his." A spark ignited in Maya's chest. Fear, yes, but also a burning determination. Tomorrow night, it would end. One way or another. Maya and Clara spent the next day preparing, the tension between them thick enough to choke on. Every plan they considered seemed either too dangerous or too uncertain. But they had no other choice. By noon, Clara had made a call to someone she trusted. An old friend who worked quietly as a private investigator. His name was Elliot, and he agreed to help, no questions asked. "We'll need evidence," Elliot said calmly over a secured line. "Real proof of Vincent's threats. Otherwise, it's your word against his." Maya felt the weight of it all pressing down on her. They couldn't afford a single mistake. The meeting was set for that night, in an abandoned warehouse by the river, exactly where Vincent had instructed. Clara and Elliot would stay hidden nearby, ready to record everything. As evening fell, Maya dressed simply. Dark jeans, black jumper, her hair tied back. She tucked a small recording device into her pocket, heart hammering with every move. "You don't have to do this alone," Clara said, gripping her hand tightly. "I do," Maya whispered. "He has to believe he's won." The drive to the warehouse was a blur of headlights and rain. The city looked strange under the storm clouds, a different world altogether. When Maya arrived, the building loomed ahead, broken windows like dark eyes watching her. She forced her legs to move forward, her shoes crunching over gravel. Inside, the air smelled of damp and rust. Shadows danced along the cracked concrete walls. And then she saw him, Vincent, waiting near a stack of old crates, smiling like a cat that had already caught its prey. "You came," he said softly. "Smart girl." Maya kept her face blank. "Where's Adrian?" Vincent chuckled, stepping closer. "Safe. For now. Do as I say and you'll see him again." He tossed a folder onto a nearby table. Maya flinched at the sound. "Inside are the account details," Vincent said. "You'll move the money tomorrow. No excuses." Maya nodded stiffly, her fingers itching to check if the recorder was still running. "You made the right choice," Vincent said, voice oily. "You're smarter than Adrian ever was." But even as he spoke, Maya noticed something. A flicker of movement in the shadows behind him. Elliot was in position. Just a few more minutes, she thought. Just hold on a little longer. The seconds stretched endlessly as Maya stood frozen in place. Vincent watched her with a predator's patience, sensing her fear and feeding on it. "Sign the papers," he ordered, sliding a pen across the table towards her. "Show me your loyalty." Maya swallowed hard. Her hand trembled slightly as she picked up the pen. She needed to stall. Just a little longer. I need to understand what I'm signing," she said, forcing her voice to quiver. "You said no excuses, but if I get caught..." Vincent chuckled darkly, stepping closer until she could smell the bitter scent of his cologne. "You won't get caught," he said smoothly. "I made sure of it. All the accounts are clean. Your name, your life, it's just a tool now." Maya lowered her eyes, pretending to study the document. In reality, she was counting her breaths, keeping herself calm. Elliot's silhouette shifted again in the shadows. The signal was almost ready. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind them. Maya's heart leapt into her throat. For a terrifying moment, she thought someone had betrayed them. But it was Clara. Dressed in black, she burst through a side door, phone in hand. "Police are on their way, Vincent," she shouted. "It's over." Vincent reacted instantly, grabbing Maya by the arm and dragging her towards the back of the warehouse. "You think you can trick me?" he snarled, his nails digging into her skin. Maya struggled, fear flashing in her chest. She kicked out blindly, striking Vincent's shin, making him curse and loosen his grip. Elliot emerged from the shadows, a baton raised. He swung once, hard, connecting with Vincent's shoulder. Vincent roared in pain but didn't go down. He shoved Elliot away and pulled a small knife from his belt. Maya stumbled backwards, blood roaring in her ears. The entire warehouse seemed to spin around her. Clara was shouting. Elliot was moving. Vincent was charging. Maya grabbed the nearest thing, a heavy metal rod, and braced herself. As Vincent lunged, she swung with every ounce of strength she had. The impact echoed through the warehouse. Vincent crumpled to the ground, the knife skittering out of his hand. Silence fell, broken only by Maya's ragged breathing. Then, distant sirens filled the air, growing louder by the second. Maya dropped the rod, staring at Vincent's unconscious body. It was over. Or at least it would be soon. Police officers stormed into the warehouse, weapons drawn, shouting commands that echoed against the cold concrete walls. Clara raised her hands immediately, tears streaking her face. Maya stumbled back from Vincent's unconscious body, her entire frame trembling with exhaustion and relief. Elliot stepped forward, hands raised, quickly explaining the situation. Within minutes, Vincent was handcuffed and being loaded into a patrol car. His face, pale and battered, was twisted in fury even as he was dragged away. Maya watched in silence, unable to feel any real triumph. Adrian was found just an hour later, tied up but alive, hidden in a rusted storage container not far from the warehouse. When he saw Maya, his broken expression crumbled into tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered over and over, clinging to her like a drowning man. Maya held him tightly, feeling the old anger and hurt soften into something sadder, something final. "You're safe now," she murmured, even though deep down, she knew that scars like theirs never truly healed. In the days that followed, the truth spilled out. Vincent's web of blackmail, fraud, and violence was larger than anyone had suspected. Maya and Clara's recordings provided crucial evidence, and with Elliot's testimony, the case against him was airtight. The news splashed Vincent's face across the papers, branding him as a criminal mastermind who had preyed on family and strangers alike. Maya stayed with Clara during the long weeks of the trial, refusing to return to the apartment she had once shared with Adrian. Even though Adrian had been a victim too, the trust between them had shattered beyond repair. One rainy morning, after Vincent was sentenced to decades in prison, Maya packed a single bag. She kissed Clara goodbye, promising to stay in touch. "I need to find out who I am without all of this," she said quietly. Clara hugged her fiercely. "You already know, Maya. You're the strongest person I've ever met." Maya smiled through tears, stepping out into the misty morning, feeling the first true breath of freedom fill her lungs. For the first time in a long while, she had no fear of what was behind her. Only hope for what lay ahead.